We are Steve and Jill. Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Steve and Jack Butala.
and I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This week, all week, we are talking about the 5 phases to your real estate empire. And each day, we'll take each step. Today, Monday, we're talking about the first step, nailing down the basics in your land business. I'm going to talk about the technical stuff. As always, Jill's going to talk about the more interesting, fun,
Fluff.
the all-important points to creating a real estate deal.
I'm going to talk about your logo, your colors, your office space, decorations, all of that. Just kidding.
I can't wait to hear it. What are your favorite? How do you come up with the logo, Joe? Let's start off with some fun stuff because this is going to get.
First of all,
this is an intense week.
I'm not even sure you need one.
That's what I think.
No, seriously, for our land business, we've never had a logo. We never even thought about it.
Yeah, we haven't.
And we had a name, and the only thing that we went with the name of our land business was something that was easy to look up and spell. That's really kind of it, and says what it is. That's it, and make sure it's a .com. There you go. Never cared about the colors and all of that. So it's kind of funny. I like how you did this too. I was thinking by way, which I learned this from you, first gear, second gear, third gear, all that. So today is first.
Mm-hmm, that's
first gear. So cool.
Here's the topics. On Monday, again, we're going to talk about nailing down the basics of your land business. On Tuesday, which is phase 2, putting your land business on autopilot. As we go through these each day, I'll talk about my personal experience and how maybe shifting from first gear to second gear to third gear in my personal land business wasn't as efficient as it could be, yours could be. Let's put it that way. On Wednesday, phase 3, expanding your land business into other real estate types. Super important. Thursday, phase 4, institutionalizing the operations portion of your real estate business. You've heard this probably by now. If you're an entrepreneur, you probably shouldn't be working in your own business, which is true. What that really means is you shouldn't be running the operations portion of your business. You're the startup people. We're all startup entrepreneurs here. If we were masters at operations, we would have other jobs with private equity companies or things like that. We're startup people. And then Friday, my personal favorite phase 5, is staying out in front of all of the changes that go on in the environment so that you can survive. The title of Friday's show is Capitalizing on the Ever-Present Industry and Cultural Changes in Real Estate. A great example is, and then we'll get to the topic here, a great example is there's more competition and traffic out there than there ever has been. From a mailing standpoint, there's just more people involved in the business because it's so cheap and easy to get in, as you've probably decided for yourself already. And so we'll talk about how we deal with that. And it's pretty much my full-time job, other than doing Jill's mail.
Oh, I was going to say, where is he going with that
Doing
one?
Jill's,
Other than making sure everything on the outside of the rig runs smoothly. Because that's your other job.
Yeah,
I'm inside, he's outside.
Yeah, you know what? Let's very briefly talk about where we are and what we're doing this summer. It's not summer anymore. It's not even fall anymore. Fall. It was below freezing this morning.
It's fall. We are in the not quite Pacific Northwest, but we're in the Northwest. Let's just say that. And it's still lovely out as we record today. It's going to be 60, but it's going to, in the 60s, like high 60s, but it's all going to change. And we are still in our sweet RV when we left in May, and I've seen pictures of the house. It's still there. That's about it.
We're out in the western part of the country doing real estate deals.
Yeah.
It's a first for Jill and I to ever actually in person do real estate deals, and it's been a blast. Mm-hmm. We're having fun, meeting a ton of people, which usually is not my most favorite thing, but I'll tell you, a lot of fun people, a lot of interesting real estate, and times are changing.
Learning the culture. Everywhere's different too.
Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum, and we take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request. Go ahead, Jill.
All right. So Cooper wrote, I'm struggling with an area that I mailed and I received a bunch of responses accepting my offers. It repeatedly seems to have very few recently, up to 12 months back, sold comps of similar sized properties. Got it. So he's got the offers coming back. I don't have a lot. He doesn't have a lot of comps now to go back
sold
and
comps.
compare them to, right? If it does have a recent comp, they can be 25% of the for sale of the properties, which makes me think it's another land investor or perhaps a one-off property issue. I reached out to a local experienced realtor for their opinion on several and should hear back soon. Smart. In these situations, how much weight or trust do you put into the limited comp information versus realtor opinion versus sale prices? If there are not many recent solds, would this be a signal or a red flag? Thank you for your time and assistance.
So first of all, Cooper, you're doing everything right. You sent a bunch of mail out. You priced it, hopefully within reason accordingly. And you're receiving positive responses. People are signing your offers and sending them back. I do not place specific emphasis on sold comparison values. There's 3 or 4 things that you need to look at when a property comes back. This is what we do Jill and I do on the Thursday call for our members, review their deals. And we have been doing this every Thursday for years and years. You need to look at how the internet values like-kind real estate in the area that you believe are comparison values. So Zillow calls it as estimate. Realtor.com has all kinds of comps. And then you should look at what, like you are, sold comparison values and for sale property. It's important to remember where comparison values come from. Sold comparison values have to be manually listed on Zillow by the seller or by the real estate agent or the person who's selling it. And so that leaves a lot of unaddressed sold comparison values because it's not directly on the MLS. And then let's not forget about property that's been sold directly, like buy a piece of property and I sell it to Jill or deed it to Jill or vice versa. It never hits the MLS, so it does not become a comparison value unless you're pulling comps from the actual recorder from the county. So I don't want to make this sound complicated. However, you should be able to look at a piece of property that you're thinking about buying and look at the properties around it and just look at it for reason. Look at it. Does it make sense that I sent a $30,000 offer out? All the other houses or structures or land values are 2 and 3 times that. In the case of a house, it should be 4 to 5 times. And so this is something that you have to, the way that you're going to get confidence doing this is by doing it often and getting some reinforcement from whomever you choose. This is a very popular topic in Discord. A lot of people had a lot of things to say. And one of the things, Jill, and I'll let you go here in a second, is one of the real things that people said was this should be part of the process when you're pricing your mailer. So this is what we call testing for reason. At the very end of the mailer that you put together and you're done pricing it, you go down the list of in the mailer in the Excel file or the relational database and test properties. Test them and assume that they came back, that you have a signed executed offer. It came back. Test it. And you might find, because you haven't spent any money on mail yet, you might find you can't value these properties. This has happened to me. Actually, over the years, it's happened a lot. There's just no values of anything. So I would ditch the mailer and then move on to a place where you have huge confidence in the fact that you're buying property at 20% of retail.
My turn?
For sure.
Okay. I think I look at I don't know if this was if we are differing in opinion or if it was a little goof, but I think the land you're buying should be worth 10% of the houses at least. So if you're paying $100,000 for a piece of dirt, you better be ending up with $1 million house. You had said 2 or 3 or 4 times. I
Just
think you meant
other land values.
Oh, okay, got it. You had said houses. I want to clarify that. So if it's a house, So if there's $1 million houses, you could spend $100,000 on the dirt. We're good with that. If it's a $300,000 or $400,000 house, you cannot spend $100,000 on the dirt. So then, as far as the question, you're like, all right, what do I look? I've got the realtor. I'm working in a realtor opinion. I'm having trouble with these sold comps, and I'm looking at for sale. I start out weighing them equally. I really do when I look at these things and they come back. I really look at, I want the local opinion, because I want to know what he's got lined up, like how many calls. Like the local opinion is going to tell me a lot as far as what people want. Who's, if he's like, it's been kind of slow, or wow, people are just blowing up my whatever. I just sold one last week. I wish I had 10 of those. Like, okay, that tells me something. And then the second one, of course, is is the sold comps. I love looking at that 3 months back, 6 months back, a year back. Has it been getting better? Maybe even go back once in a while further. If you see like, 2 sold and then 10 sold and now 50 sold. There's a trend here. Things are happening. So that's good. Not just for volume, but as far as, and then you can see the prices like, and they keep going up. Look at this. It's getting a little more competitive, moving up in price because people want to move here, more demand. And then the last thing is for sale. I really do value that too. Like, what are these people? Not that it's real, because some people do have their own, we're going to list it for this price and I'm going to hang out, weird numbers. But you can throw out the outliers high and throw out the outliers low on the active, and go, all right, this is a general opinion I can see of, what people think things are worth right now in this area. So again, I weight them pretty much equally.
So I obsess this portion of the business, this valuation portion, I obsess on it to an unhealthy level. I go into a market even long before we send out mail, just to see if it's viable to send out mail or even buy property there. And by the time I'm done, and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying it's, if not anything else, it's not an emotionally healthy part of my personality. I want to know what parts of the market, let's say it's a county, that are expensive, what parts are not, which parts are just untouched, maybe because they're too far out, and I want to know why. And so I love this question. I don't remember getting a question like this. Maybe I'm reading a lot into it, but I don't remember getting a question like this, because it's very, very in-depth, and it's good. You want to get to the bottom of why. I won't send or do, what, if a deal comes back like this, and Jill and I are looking at each other and we're saying, I don't know if this is a good deal price-wise. I love the dirt. The markets looks fantastic, but I just can't see it. We won't do the deal.
Or I'll change the price.
She'll go back and say, she'll knock so much money off of it that we have to do it. There's other bigger factors in this. This could be a whole week, by the way. If the county or the surrounding counties are doing really well, and you're looking at 40 acres for $18,000, and every other 40-acre property in the area of the state is $180,000 plus or $800,000 plus in some markets, then you have to start to say, you know what, I might take a risk on this because it passes all the A's. I just can't get any sold comps.
I just looked at a deal yesterday, actually, in the very far northeast part of the country in a state that I've not done many deals in. And I'm just looking at it going, scratching my head going, there's not a lot to go on. There really wasn't. It was like a buy for 30, sell for 70, they thought. And I'm looking around going, I can't. And there's so few comps that I had to fall back on. Here's a good fallback for you, Cooper. I had to fall back on what I think is the closest property, which sold for like 40, right? And this is a buy for 30 something. Boy. So I had to go back and just say, look, and it was a deal funding issue. I had to go back and say, look, I'm sorry, but you got to look at this comp and you got to look at this stuff here. I had a couple different ones. I said I would even call this agent, talk to him about it, but hey, based on this best one I can do, I can't see any way out of it other than not paying 30, paying 10. And it might work. So in that case, I'm like, you know what? For 10, I'll roll the dice. For 30, I won't. I'm not going to buy for 30 to sell for 40. Kind of with an agent and commissions. Now we're both splitting $5,000 barely. So that won't work.
Jill and I are in the process of completing a deal here, and neither one of us liked it at all when it first came across our desk. And we realized later that we loved the deal. We hated the price. We just couldn't make the price work. And so Jill went back in and got it for $125,000 cheaper.
They had to catch up with us.
Yes. And this is in the meantime as well, where I'm learning a lot doing these deals in person. Are you? Because I'm not used to this. This has been decades of me doing this stuff on the phone and on the internet. And so when Jill gets in front of people and she talks with them, they're very much more likely to reduce the price.
Thanks.
Please test all this stuff for a reason before you send the mailer out. Cooper, this is a great question.
Yeah.
Today's topic, nailing down the basics in your land business. This is phase 1 of the 5 phases in this entire week. So
I call it first gear. I like first gear. That's how you taught me that. It makes sense to me. You're just getting started. You're rolling.
And as the way attrition works, it's a funnel. You want to make it to the end of the bottom. You want to make it across the finish line here and on all 5 of these phases. And there's issues with every single phase of this. But nailing down the basics in your land business is as follows, and they are the modules in Land Academy 3.0. They're the basic modules that we talk about in Career Path. You know what? When does Career Path start?
October 28th.
So I don't know when this airs, but I think it's right before that.
Yeah.
You need to get educated. That's the first part of nailing down the basics in your land business. You're listening to this because hopefully you're utilizing all the free resources around the internet, this included, to learn. And then at some point, you'll decide whether or not you want to get some paid, belong to a group like Land Academy. Hopefully it is Land Academy. And learn from other people that are already have been where you are at one point, like me and Jill, and have made it down through that funnel. So first part is education. The second, there's phases to that. Then you get real serious. Eventually you're going to send a review where you want to send mail. Get real comfortable and confident. You're building confidence in this stage with sending mail to an area backed by data. Every decision we make in this is data-driven, as evidenced by the question today. He's looking for data. Looking for data to confirm and validate his purchase price.
I have different ones. When you're ready, when you're done, I'll go because I have 5 different things too.
Get the mail out.
Yeah.
And then manage the inbound flow. What Jill does, the magic that Jill brings to the table is managing and converting those inbound responses from the mail into real estate deals, buying it and selling it. Those are the basics of the land business. If at any point that doesn't make sense to you, or you can't stand it, or you're not willing to get a business partner or hire somebody to do the stuff you don't want to do, this can be a problem. And I think a lot of people find out that it's not all peaches and cream. There's a lot involved. Unless you have certain personality types. For Jill and I, we're very fortunate because she does the stuff I don't want to do and vice versa. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's what I think. This is like the very beginning stages here. And there's 5 things you've got to have locked in if you're going to be successful here in your land business and as a new person. Number 1, money. You've got to have money to get going, money to send out mail, money to do data, not necessarily buy the deals, but you've got to have money saved up or it's just not going to work. You can't come at this with $1,000. Not going to work. You need to have at least like 10. I'm going to be honest, to really get rolling. And the good news is, as we've talked about in many other shows, starting a business with 10 grand is like, what are you talking about? That's amazing. If I wanted to buy a, Circle K, it would cost whatever, or any restaurant or pizza joint, or trust we've been there, every other business, it's astronomical. So this is really nice. Number 2, you need to be in the right frame of mind. You got to be ready. You have to have your family ready, your head ready, your calendar clear, however it's going to work out with your regular job, how you're going to fit this in. You've got to have that ready to go. Number 3, you've got to have tools. You can't do this. You can't just sit down and Google your way through this. No, and that's part of where the money comes from. And you're going to need to have access to the data, phone system. You got to have a good computer, and good software, and a mail company kind of thing. So you've got to have all this stuff lined up. The 4th thing, of course, definitely education. We always agree there. Do you want to spend 10 months learning to do this or 10 years? Think about it. You can catch up and get a lot done in Land Academy in 10 months. versus, or you can just wing it and Google your way through this and get 10 years and then maybe catch up to us. We'll see. I wish I had us. When we started, that was the thing. At least I had Jack. Jack had nobody. So that was really good. So then
I don't want to interrupt your train of thought.
Then the fifth thing.
I was going to give you a compliment.
The fifth thing is
so rare.
Thank you. So, basics in your land business and nailing your land business, right? So I started with money, your frame of mind. I'm not using the word mindset because it's overused. Tools, education, and the last thing is practice and experience. Nailing down the basics. You've got to do some deals. You're still, until you have at least 10 deals, I would say maybe 20 or 30, you're new. You need to get more experience. Then we can move into second gear.
Yeah, it's building confidence. If you're very, you might have come from another professional environment, engineering or something like that, or maybe you're a real estate professional or a former business owner. Mm-hmm. The number's going to be less. Right. You're going to know when you're confident. Yeah. You have to be very confident as a business owner, whether it's a restaurant owner or manufacturing. You need to you cross over that point where, you know what, I actually pretty much know what's going to happen next.
Yeah. It's good. And I'm ready for it.
So 10 to 15 deals is good, or 20, whatever you said. Mm-hmm. Join us tomorrow where we discuss putting your land business on autopilot. This is phase 2, or Jill's calling it, I guess, this week, second gear. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. We are Jack and Jill, information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.